Hey, you. You're finally awake.
Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to look at the N64 once again because you guys seem to like it. More specifically, I wanted to look at the RPGs. And, there aren't many. The N64 did not have many RPGs. I think 6 or 7. So I'm going to be looking at those games. Whereas the PlayStation 1 had absolutely tons. Yeah, the N64, that was a little bit barren. So I might be repeating myself with 2 of these games, which we talked about them the other day, but hey ho, we're all here for the fun and games. If you do think I deserve it, please hit that like button because that's what helps the channel grow. Hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to be told when a new video appears. We've also got the weekly podcast and a $1 a month Patreon so you can help financially support me, and you can find the link in the description below. Right, let's get into it, shall we? The N64 RPGs. Harvest Moon 64. While it shares its name with the original, this isn't just a sequel. For many fans, it was the peak of the entire series. It's a game that somehow makes manual labour, gift-giving, and animal husbandry more addictive than any high-octane shooter. Here is why life in Flower Bud Village is a Nintendo 64 masterpiece. Now, the setup is your grandfather has passed away, leaving his rundown farm to you. Cheers, mate. You've roughly 2.5 years to restore the fields, raise livestock, and integrate yourself into community before your father returns to evaluate your progress. It'd be nice if he actually just did that. This game introduced a major quality of life upgrade, the rucksack. You can carry up to 8 tools and 8 items, which is a huge leap over the limited inventory system of the Super Nintendo version. Unlike modern cozy games, the clock in Harvest Moon 64 is fast and ruthless. You've got to balance your stamina, which depletes as you work, with limited hours in the day. If you stay up too late or work in the rain, you're going to get sick and lose a day. And no one likes to have a sick day. We all think we do, but we actually don't. Now, there is no final boss here, but there is a photo album. You collect photos by hitting major milestones, winning the horse races, getting married, or completing the town's legendary party photo. Fans do love this game because it's surprisingly mature. The villagers have real problems, they have family drama, struggles with alcohol, and even the potential for certain characters to pass away. It feels like a real, loving community with stakes. Now, if you do take too long to try and woo your favourite girl, your rivals, the other guys in town, will move in and marry them instead. They're not just going to sit there. You'll even see their wedding and eventually their children. Now, the greenhouse is seen as the ultimate status symbol. Once you've saved up enough wood and money, you can build a greenhouse where time doesn't pass and crops grow regardless of the seasons. It's a literal money printing machine. There are also many festivals here, from the New Year's Eve's drinking contest, we can literally outdrink the mayor, to the high-stakes horse race. The festivals are the highlight of the calendar year and essential for building friendship. Now, this game has a fixed diagonal view. Whilst it looks charming, it makes aiming your watering can or your hoe notoriously tricky until you get the muscle memory down. You can also rotate the camera in 90-degree increments, and this is crucial for finding that one stray piece of lumber hidden behind your barn. Harvest Moon 64 is also famous for its glitches like the infinite dog race exploits or the fact that time doesn't pass while you're inside the barn. Hardcore players have turned these bugs into legitimate strategies. To sum it up, Harvest 64 is the soulful heart of the farming sim genre. It's a game about the passage of time, the rewards of hard work, and the bittersweet nature of life in a small town. Even with its clunky transitions and occasional frustrating controls, it has a magic that later more polished entries in the series, now called Story of Seasons, often struggle to replicate. Aidyn Chronicles: The First Mage. Released by THQ late in the console's life, it's a fascinating, deeply flawed, and incredibly dense experience that felt more like a PC game from the Ultimate or Elder Scrolls lineage rather than a typical console RPG. It's widely considered one of the ugliest games on the system, but for those who look past the fog, it's a masterpiece in deep mechanics. You are Alron, a young squire who gets poisoned by goblins in the opening minutes. You've got to find a cure before the poison kills you, leading to a sprawling journey where you discover you're a wildling, a mage without a true name. The game switches between Trek mode, which means exploring the massive 3D overworld, and turn-based combat mode. Combat takes place on a separate grid where positioning, height, and back attacks are critical for survival. Now, there's also permadeath, and this is the game's most brutal feature. If a party member dies in combat, they are dead forever. No revival potions or spells. If Alron dies, it's game over. This turns every wolf encounter into a high-stakes tactical puzzle. Now, you don't just level up here, you have to find specialised trainers in towns, and you can spend a combination of gold and experience points to buy ranks in skills like alchemy, stealth, and weaponry. The world is huge here and remarkably non-linear. You can wander off into a dangerous mountains or deep forest and get completely lost, and for 2001, the sense of scale was unprecedented on a cartridge. There's also a day-night cycle, and time passes in real time and actually matters. Characters have a solar or lunar aspect. A solar mage is significantly more powerful at noon, while your lunar characters will struggle during the day but become gods at night. This game is also surprisingly dark, with a very serious tone. It deals with necromancy, insanity, and complex political intrigue. The writing is much more high fantasy novel than shown anime. You can also break the game by recruiting Godric, who is the eccentric alchemist. By doing this, you harvest herbs and brew high value potions to sell, allowing you to buy the best gear early on in the game. Even with the expansion pack, the graphics are notoriously rough. The textures are muddy, the frame rate chugs, and the character models look like they were made out of wet cardboard. There is no music during the exploration either, only ambient wind of footsteps and the occasional wolf howl. It creates a very lonely, atmospheric vibe, but for some players they find it eerie and hollow. The game is also infamous for technical bugs. It's not uncommon for the game to freeze after a 20-minute battle, making the save anywhere feature your most important tool. Also, this game is slow. I mean, everything is slow. Aileron runs slowly, the battle menus take seconds to load, and every action has weight to it and feels tedious to modern players. Now, Aidyn Chronicles is the ultimate hidden gem for the hardcore RPG crowd. You can say hidden gem because there's a lot in there, you've got to really dive to find that gem. It's a game that rewards patience and careful planning above all else. It tried to do things the N64 was never meant to do: massive open worlds, permadeath, and complex astronomical magic systems. It's a polarizing cult classic. Half the people who play it will quit within 10 minutes because of the graphics, and the other half will play for hundreds of hours because of the depth. Let me know which one you are. Quest 64. Oh, we knew we were going to be talking about this one. It is extremely polarizing, as some see it as a charming, streamlined adventure, while others see it as a repetitive, unfinished experiment. And look, I put a poll up the other day about which one was better, this or Final Fantasy VII, and some of the answers are hilarious. And some of you were like, why the hell are you putting Final Fantasy VII against Quest 64? There's no contest here. You know what? I put it up as a bit of a joke. We all know I'm not serious. We know I'm a bit of a moron. Don't come to me for serious opinions on this channel. I'm an absolute numpty. So, just deal with it. But still, we got 877 votes, and what was the percentage? 85% of Final Fantasy, and still 15% with 50 comments. So thank you very much. I love the comments, and I really do appreciate when you guys all chuck in for this. It does make me, gives me a little bit of a chuckle, so thank you. But you play as Brian the Mage, which... Brian the Mage, fine. You play as Brian, the apprentice mage in the land of Keltland. Your father's gone missing while searching for a stolen book, and you set out with nothing but a wooden staff and a dream to find him. Now, with the magic system, there are no levels in a traditional sense. Instead, you collect spirits, hidden in the world like rare collectibles, to upgrade 4 elements: fire, earth, water, and wind. So water is essential for healing and your defensive spells, earth, home to the avalanche spell, the absolute nuke of the game, wind for fast long-range cutters and movement buffs, and fire, most direct damage, though often considered the weakest element. Now, battles take place in a 3D arena where Brian can move freely within a small hexagon. You have to manually aim your spells and, more importantly, manually dodge enemy projectiles by stepping out the way. Your stats grow based on what you do. Want more HP? Take damage. Want more agility? Run around during combat. Want more MP? Will use magic frequently. Has a very Final Fantasy II aesthetic to it. Now, for 1998, the fully 3D towns and fields were impressive. The music is incredibly bright and adventurous, and there's a certain peacefulness to wandering through the colourful forests of Kenosha. Now, there's no money, no armour, no shops in this game. You get items for free from NPCs if you run out, and you find the rest in chests. It's an RPG stripped down to the barest essentials. Unlike almost every other RPG of the era, your magic points regenerate just by walking around. This has encouraged you to blast enemies constantly rather than saving them for the boss. Also, finding this hidden spirit is like a scavenger hunt. When you get close to one, a small question mark appears over Brian's head, prompting you to search the environment. The game also has a day-night cycle that looks pretty, but arguably has very impact on the gameplay itself, but it was pretty much of a flex of the N64's clock system. One of the problems though is the encounter rate. It's notoriously bad. You can finish a fight, take 3 steps and get sucked into another one. And because the run button is also the confirm button, many players accidentally ran back into the same tunnel they just left. The game is also notoriously unbalanced. If you dump all your points into earth and water, you'll become an unkillable god who can one-shot bosses. If you pick fire and wind, you're in for a very rough time. The story is also extremely thin. You talk to a few NPCs, go through a dungeon, fight a boss, and repeat. It feels more like a technical demo for a 3D RPG engine rather than a fully realised epic. Quest 64 can be considered the quintessential rental game. It's a short, breezy RPG that doesn't demand manage complex menus or deep lore. While critics at the time tore it apart for not being Final Fantasy VII, it has developed a cult following for its unique combat mechanics and its no-nonsense approach to adventure. It's the RPG equivalent of a comfort food snack. Tactics Ogre, person of lordly caliber. Yes, again, we talked about this one the other day, but it's on this list for obvious reasons. Developed by Quest and published by Atlas, this is arguably the deepest, most complex strategy RPG on the Nintendo 64. It's a massive branching epic that treats its players like adult commanders rather than kids on a quest. You are Magnus Galliant, still an awesome name, and what starts as a simple mission to put down a peasant revolt quickly spirals into a massive continental war involving class struggle, religious zealotry, and ancient demons. Unlike Final Fantasy Tactics, where you manage 5 characters, here you manage an entire army. You organise troops into units of up to 5 members and on the world map, and you can move these units in real time. When 2 units touch, the game zooms into a tactical turn-based battle. Your choices matter a lot, but it's not just good versus evil. The game tracks your chaos frame, how much the different factions of the world like you. This hidden stat determines which characters will join you and which of the multiple endings you'll receive. You can also recruit anything. Human knights, archers and mages are standard, but you can also tame dragons, griffins, cockatrices and golems. You can also have undead units like Ghost and Skeleton if you're feeling morally flexible. Ogre Battle 64 can be seen as Game of Thrones on a cartridge. There are no clear villains, every side has a motivation, and your best friend in Chapter 1 might be the person you have to execute in Chapter 3 based on your political choices. And characters themselves change classes based on their stats and alignment. A humble soldier can become a paladin if they stay lawful, or a black knight if they become chaotic. Finding the rare items needed for special classes like the Lich or a princess is a game in itself. The game uses beautiful high-resolution 2D sprites on the 3D isometric background, and it's one of the best looking games in the system because it didn't try to force primitive 3D models for the people. To get more units, you have to promote basic soldiers, and depending on their gender and stats at the moment of promotion, they become different base classes. It does require a lot of micromanagement, but it makes your army feel personalised. And because this game is massive, it's one of the few N64 games that pushes the storage limits. This is an insane amount of dialogue and branching paths tucked away in that grey plastic shell. Characters also have an individual brave and energy level. If you work a unit too hard without letting them rest at a stronghold, their performance drops, so you have to rotate your units like a real general. And because of this, Tactics Ogre 64 is a dense, rewarding and emotionally heavy experience. It's a game where you spend 40% of your time on the battlefield and 60% of your time in the menus obsessing over equipment and character alignments. It's widely considered one of the best strategy games ever made, and for many it's the single best reason to own an N64. Bold statement, but it's there. Paper Mario. And Paper Mario was originally developed as Super Mario RPG 2, and this game traded the 3D models for flat, paper-thin sprites in a vibrant pop-up world. It redefined what a Mario RPG could be, and started one of Nintendo's most beloved, and debated, spin-off series. Bowser steals the Star Rod from Star Heaven, making himself invincible. He lifts Peach's entire castle into the sky and defeats Mario. You have to rescue the 7 Star Spirits to strip Bowser of his power and save the kingdom. Now here you've got the badge system. This is the game's strategic heart. Instead of just gaining stats, you earn badge points or BP points. And badges allow you to customize Mario's moveset, giving him a power bounce, letting him hammer enemies from a distance, or even changing his outfit colors. You've also got timed hits, as combat isn't passive. By pressing buttons at the right moment, you deal extra damage or block incoming attacks. It keeps you engaged in every single turn. You don't fight this battle alone. Along the way you recruit 8 unique partners like Koopa and Bo, and each has a special ability used in battle for solving puzzles in the overworld. The pop-up book feel of this game is fantastic. The way houses unfold when you walk inside, and the way characters flutter like paper when they fall is pure visual magic. It turned the N64's technical limitations into timeless art style. And this game is funny. It gave Bowser a personality beyond Kidnapper. He keeps a diary, throws temper tantrums and has hilarious dialogue, and the game is packed with puns and fourth wall breaking humour. Now between chapters you'll play as Princess Peach inside a captured castle, and these stealth and puzzle segments, like baking a cake for the gourmand guy, are surprisingly fun and flesh out the story from the other side. There's a fantastic world design from the spooky Forever Forest to the toy-filled Shy Guy's toy box, and every chapter feels like a distinct, self-contained adventure with its own mystery to solve. Now, unlike most big RPGs, Paper Mario used small numbers. Like doing 5 damage is a huge deal here when a boss only has 50 HP. This makes the math easy to follow, but the strategy very tight. Now, as you rescue the spirits, you gain a meter that allows you to summon them for massive effect, like healing Mario or raining stars on enemies. and you can also bring ingredients to cook in Toad Town to create powerful healing items. Experimenting with combinations like a cake mix and a lemon to see what she's going to make is a classic little minigame. Paper Mario is a perfect RPG. It's accessible enough for kids, but deep enough for veterans who want to optimize their badge builds. It took the DNA of Super Mario RPG on the Super Nintendo and flattened it into a masterpiece of style, wit, and turn-based perfection. It really does make you feel nice and warm in your dum-dum. Hybrid Heavens. This is a weird game. It's a sci-fi conspiracy thriller that tries to be Metal Gear Solid, Tomb Raider, and SmackDown all at the same time. It's one of the weirdest, most ambitious games on the N64. You play as Johnny Slater, a Secret Service agent caught in a plot to replace the US president with a clone, and you wake up in a massive underground alien facility beneath Manhattan and have to fight your way out. Now, outside of combat, it's a 3D action adventure where you crawl through vents, solve puzzles, and shoot security bots with a diffuser gun. But when you face an organic enemy, the game turns into a turn-based wrestling RPG. One of the weirdest parts of this game, let alone the turn-based wrestling RPG, is that you don't level up. Your individual body parts level up based on what you use. So if you kick a lot, your right leg gets stronger. If you get punched in the face constantly, your head's defenses increases. So if you use your wrist a lot, fantastic. Make your own decisions on what I mean there. Now, you start off with basic punches and kicks, but as you fight, you learn moves from enemies, and by the end of the game you're performing complex suplexes, power bombs and power drivers on biological alien mutants. The story is full of clones, alien parasites and secret agents. It has a dark, moody atmosphere that feels very late 90s sci-fi reminiscent of the X-Files or Blade Runner. The agents you do fight in this game, who have suits and sunglasses, use martial arts and dirty tactics. It captured that industrial cyberpunk aesthetic perfectly. Now in battle, you move in real time to manage distance. When your power bar fills up, you freeze time and pick an attack. It's like a chess match where the pieces are doing backbreakers on each other. If you do have the expansion pack, you can turn on the high res mode, and while it makes the frame rate chug a bit, it makes the underground facility look remarkably sharp for a 1999 console game. The game is semi-famous for an opening cutscene involving a very detailed, for the time, render of the protagonist's backside. It's weirdly specific Konami detail that fans always remember. But because the game takes place entirely underground bunker, the environments can get a bit samey, as you're going to be seeing a lot of metallic hallways and grey labs. Your only rage weapon is this wimpy little pistol that only works on robots though, which is a bit crap. It does feel like a toy, which makes the transition into brutal hand-to-hand combat even more jarring. And it's actually one of the only few N64 games that actually supports a 16:9 widescreen toggle, which is way ahead of its time for home consoles. Hybrid Heaven is a game that shouldn't work, but somehow does. It's clunky, weird paced, and graphically brown, yet the combat system is so deep and rewarding that it's earned a massive cult following. There has truly never been another game like it, quite like a pro wrestling RPG. It's in a genre of one. And finally, Shiren the Wanderer 2, Oni Invasion. Now this is one you will have never played, as this was a Japan exclusive masterpiece for decades until a dedicated fan translation finally opened it up to the world. Here you play as a 10-year-old Shiren. After arriving in Etain village, he finds a town under siege by a tribe of demons. To protect the villagers, Shiren decides to build a massive castle, requiring him to dive into dungeons to harvest the necessary materials. Now this is kind of like a roguelike. It's turn-based and grid-based. Every step you take, the monsters take. If you die, you lose your items and the level resets to 1. It's a game of risk management, where a single misread scroll or stepped on trap can end a 3-hour run. The castle system is the main focus of the game. You aren't just looking for gold, you're looking for wood, iron and stone, and you bring these back to the village to physically construct your castle. The better your materials, the more defense your castle has for the story's climactic sieges. You can recruit a colourful cast of partners to help you out, and even cooler, you can use monster pots to capture enemies, train them and have them fight alongside you. Now for an N64 game, the art style is stunning. It captures a beautiful feudal Japan aesthetic with rolling hills, bamboo forests and cosy villages. It's easily one of the most polished looking games on the system. Now while the game is difficult, it feels incredibly rewarding. Coming back from a successful run with a pack full of rare iron and a new sword feels like a true victory. The item interactions are also legendary. You can throw a stave of sloth to slow an enemy, or a rice ball scroll to turn a terrifying boss into a harmless snack. The game isn't about levels, it's about the knowledge of your items. Now, once you finish the story, the real game begins. Dungeons like the Road to the End, which is 99 floors with no items allowed to be brought in, are the ultimate test of survival and are still discussed by hardcore Rogue fans like today. The game was also originally planned for the ill-fated 64DD disk drive. When it did move to the cartridge, it kept much of that intended complexity, resulting in a game that feels much larger and more reactive than its contemporaries. This game also suits the N64 joystick really well, as the 8-way grid movement feels incredibly fluid. You can hold a shoulder button to lock your direction, allowing for precise diagonal attacks, and necessity for surviving some high-level monster houses. Now, by using melding jars, you can combine different swords and shields to inherit their properties. One's a sword that hits twice but heals you on every hit and deals extra damage to dragons. You can build it, if you can survive long enough to find the ingredients. But as I said, this game wasn't available for over 20 years, and the only way to capture it is via a high-quality fan patch. The translation is a fantastic professional grade, capturing the whimsy and tension of the original script perfectly. Shiren the Wanderer 2 is a masterclass in gameplay loops. It combines the just one more try diction of a roguelike with a tangible sense of progress as your castle grows from a wooden shack into a stone fortress. It's a warm, beautiful, and occasionally heartbreaking journey that stands as one of the N64's most impressive technical and creative achievements. And that's it, my look at the N64 RPGs. I know some of you will be coming at what about Zelda? I don't consider the Zelda games an RPG. Never have. More of a Metroidvania. But that's a conversation for another day. Until then, I'll see you all in a few days for another video. If you did like this, please give it a like. My name's been Danny. Bye bye.